Welcome to stop number 25 on Route 66, the Book of Lamentations, where Jeremiah mourns over the sin of Judah and the severity of God's judgment, but holds fast to the hope of God's mercy. The background. Lamentations is the third book of the major prophets. Though no author is named, both Jewish and Christian tradition ascribe authorship to Jeremiah around the year 586 BC. Lamentations, like Psalms, is composed not of chapters, but of individual poems. But where the Book of Psalms is a collection of diverse poems written over the ages, the 5 poems in Lamentations comprise a single unified book. The original name of the book in Hebrew can be translated as alas or how, giving the sense of weeping or lamenting over heart-wrenching tragedy. The Book of Lamentations, combined with the passage in Jeremiah 9:1, which says, "Oh, that my head were waters and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people," earned Jeremiah the title, the Weeping Prophet. So what's the big idea? As the verses of Lamentations accumulate, readers cannot help but wonder how many different ways Jeremiah could describe the desolation of the once proud city of Jerusalem. Children begged for food from their mothers. Young men and women were cut down by swords, and formerly compassionate mothers, desperate for survival, turned to their children for food. Jeremiah could not help but acknowledge the wretched state of the city, piled high with rubble. While Jeremiah had tried to warn Judah of God's judgment and their impending captivity, all he could do now was weep honest tears. The pain so evident in Jeremiah's reaction to this devastation clearly communicates the significance of the dreadful position Jerusalem now found herself in. Speaking in the first person, Jeremiah pictures himself captured in a besieged city without anyone to hear his prayers and as a target for the arrows of his enemy. Yet even in the seemingly hopeless situation, he clings to hope in the Lord. Major divisions. Lamentations has 5 chapters and 5 divisions. Chapter 1, Jeremiah mourns for Jerusalem and Judea as it lays in ruin by the raid and destruction of Babylon. In chapter 2, he describes the anger of the Lord who brought judgment to the wicked land. In chapter 3, we see Jeremiah expressing his troubled spirit and suffering and misery, and yet we hear the undercurrent of his bold hope in chapter 3, verse 22 through 24. The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh every morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. Chapter 4, Jeremiah again laments the ruin and the desolation that has come upon the city and the temple, but traces it only to the sin of the people. Chapter 5 is a fervent prayer that Zion's reproach be taken away in the repentance and recovery of the people. So what? Why is this book so important, and what is God's purpose for this book? Like the book of Job, Lamentations paints the picture of a man of God processing the results of evil and suffering in the world. However, while Job dealt with unexplained evil, Jeremiah lamented a tragedy entirely of Jerusalem's making. The people of this once great city experienced the judgment of a holy God, and the results were utterly devastating. But at the heart of this book, nestled in the center of this lament over the effects of sin in the world, we find a few verses devoted to hope in the Lord. And this statement of faith, standing strong in the midst of the surrounding darkness, shines as a beacon to all those suffering under the consequences of their own sin and disobedience. Where is Jesus in this book? The Book of Lamentations gives us a glimpse of who Jesus is for us. Lamentations 1:3 says that Judah can find no rest. Jesus says in Matthew 11 that if we will come to him, he will give us rest. Lamentations 1:6 says that Judah's princes are like deer that have found no pasture. In John 10, Jesus says that he is the door, and if anyone enters through him, they will find pasture. Lamentations 1:9 says that Jerusalem has fallen and has no comforter. In John 14, Jesus says that he gives us the Comforter who will be with us forever. Lamentations paints a vivid picture of destruction, the devastating consequences of sin and a life lived apart from him. but lingering beneath the rubble is the theme of the hope and restoration we find only in his faithful Son, Jesus, who, like Jeremiah, wept over our separation from God and who intercedes on our behalf. There you have it, a brief overview of spot number 25 on Route 66.
Take my way.